Living to 500 sounds like a gift. So let's start with this. Researchers who actually modeled this scenario found something disturbing. Before most people reach their 300th birthday, they want their life to end. Not because of disease, not because of poverty, not because of war, for a reason far quieter and far more unsettling. Today we're going to find out why. In 2023, a group of longevity researchers asked a strange question. If we could completely stop cellular aging, how long could a human actually live? The answer was staggering. Theoretically, 500 years, assuming no accidents, no disease. At first, this sounded like an interesting thought experiment. Humanity's oldest fantasy, finally within reach. But then the researchers asked a second question. So what happens to the human mind over those 500 years? And that's exactly where things started to turn dark. Let's imagine the good part first. 500 years. That's the distance between Shakespeare's birth and today, compressed into a single lifetime. You could witness the first automobile, humanity's first colony on Mars, maybe even the first ship leaving our solar system. Time to learn a dozen languages. Time to live 5 completely different careers. Time to feel reborn, again and again. Sounds romantic, doesn't it? But here's where something strange happened. When researchers started tracking the relationship between lifespan and identity, they found a deeply uncomfortable pattern. The human brain is built around an 80-year timeline. The way we store memories, form relationships, maintain our sense of self, all of it is calibrated to that schedule. So what happens when you stretch that schedule to 500 years? Psychologists call this identity dilution. After about a century, the values, beliefs, and people you loved in your 20s start to blur. After 2 centuries, you no longer feel connected to the person you were at 20. Some researchers compared it to reading a stranger's diary. But this wasn't even the worst part. The real problem isn't that this happens to you alone. Everyone around you goes through the exact same thing. After 150 years, your spouse is no longer the person you fell in love with. After 300 years, your children have drifted so far from your era, your values, that they feel like strangers wearing familiar faces. The entire concept of relationships starts to collapse. Marriage, friendship, family bonds. Every one of these was a social contract built on the assumption of an 80-year life. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. What researchers discovered wasn't simple psychological fatigue. They called it memory saturation. The human brain doesn't have infinite storage. It cannot hold 500 years of faces, names, events, and losses. So, the brain starts choosing what to keep, what to erase. And here's the unsettling part. You don't get to choose. Your first love could be erased. Your parents' faces could be erased. By the time you turn 500, are you still you? Or are you 300 different people layered on top of each other, wearing the same face? This is exactly where everything changes. Some psychologists asked an even more disturbing question. What if death is the only reason life has meaning? Think about it. Every choice you make, every love you chase, every risk you take, all of it comes from one simple fact. Time is limited. 'Cause time is scarce, we rush to love, chase our dreams, and treasure today. But give someone 500 years, and something breaks. There's no reason to do today what you could just as easily do tomorrow. Love can wait, ambition can wait, risk can wait. And the simulation data predicted exactly that. In a society with extended lifespans, human motivation begins to collapse. Researchers call it infinite deferral syndrome. When you have unlimited time, nothing has to happen now. And a life where nothing has to happen now becomes, strangely, indistinguishable from a life where nothing happens at all. Among simulated 300-year-old populations, the most common reported feeling wasn't boredom. It was something deeper, meaninglessness. When time becomes infinite, the value of any single moment collapses toward zero. This holds mathematically. It also holds psychologically. And this is where we arrive at the real question. This video was never really about living to 500. It's about us. Right now, your 80 years are already finite. So how are you spending that finiteness? Beings with infinite time collapse into meaninglessness precisely because they have no deadline. But you have a deadline. You already do. The number of dinners left with your parents is finite. The number of conversations left with the people you love is finite. The summers, the birthdays, the mornings you have left, all of it is a countable number. And it's exactly that finiteness that gives this moment its weight. Beings who lived 500 years wouldn't envy our youth. They would envy our urgency, that uncomfortable feeling every morning, the quiet awareness that time is slipping away. That feeling is the very thing that carves meaning into a life. Death was never the enemy. Death was the reason we learned to love this exact moment. So tonight, before you turn off the lights, ask yourself one thing. If you had infinite time, would you still do the thing you were planning to do today? Or would you push it off forever? The fact that you are finite, that isn't a curse. It might be the greatest gift you were ever given.